Shout out to the Hype Magazine.
And we right here with the Hype Magazine. You already know what it is.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to another live session with the Hype Magazine. I'm your editor-in-chief, Jerry Doby. And this evening, I've got my friend, my comrade, the one and only Kokane. Y'all may know him as Coca, Jerry B. Long of Budēboy Entertainment, record label owner and executive, a mentor, one of the most featured artists on the planet. I think last count, I lost count at like 1,000 features. You hear him on funk and some of that real West Coast ooh wee, and he's real with it. Kokane, welcome, my brother. It's been a minute.
Man, been a minute. Appreciate you having me on your platform.
Man, I appreciate you taking the time. You're a busy man. From I think your daughter Anissa, right, is doing her thing. And,
yes, sir.
The apple don't fall far from the tree at all. Matter of fact, I think it's still attached to the branch. She's killing it, and I see you out there pushing. You got some new young lions out there as well. So, but first and foremost, man, I've seen you do interviews. I've seen you, do shout outs and give advice, but I've never heard you reflect from the inside looking out. Who is the creative Kokane?
Oh man, I'm cut from the tree. Second generation of legendary artist, my father Jerry Buddy Long Sr., who was a staple over there at Motown Records and Uncle Willie Hutch. And it's just a blessing to come from that line because music was embedded in my chromosomes years ago. I can remember 2 or 3 years old going into a recording session with my father. And, the running board was like a spaceship. So I was always like a space baby when it comes to music. And we just grew up in exceptional eras, taking the music from the late 60s to the early 70s to the 80s period. It was a big pot of gumbo, man. We was exposed to a lot of stuff. And, you had rhythm and blues, soul, funk. You even had some funky white boys back in the days doing some funky rock and roll from Led Zeppelin. And, the list goes on. And it had a major impact. And with the exception of what Kool Herc and all those fellas, did back in the days, it just added icing on the cake, to be able to do hip hop and do soul music, real R&B, back then, all that had an impact on me. And today is the reason why I do what I do creatively. Yep. So, that's who I am at the end of the day. I'm a musician, more so than you would call me a rapper or I MC, but I'm mostly on the musician end and the music theory end.
Okay.
That's me.
Now, was there a benchmark moment that you can recall where, despite growing up in pretty much embedded in the industry, suckled at the teat of the music industry, so to speak, from a youngin', was there a benchmark moment that made you say, yep, I'm stepping into the arena? Do you recall?
I start to get it, in the late 70s.
Okay.
I start to get where I come from, how deep it is, because we always used to see different celebrities run around, Marvin Gaye to, people at the Whispers. They used to be with Dick Griffey and all them. So, I started to get it, but then I started to get the other angles too, the hardships and the struggle. It was a combination of both things because even though, my peers or my pops and different other, my uncles, a lot of people wasn't reaping the benefits. Big record corporations was reaping the benefits. So I had to live to a suppressed environment called the ghettos like everybody else. It may look popular, it may look good, But, hard times that fell on us. You know what I mean? You know the way things was ran.
Right, right.
And I experienced both sides of it. But that side of the struggle was very instrumental in how I write today, because I believe music needs to have a balance. It's cool to party. It's cool, you listen to a Marvin Gaye song. I used to go out and party, but then at the same time, you can also flip it over and hear what's going on. And I come from that era where music had that balance. You can listen to the Whispers, It's a Love Thing, and then turn around and listen to, you know, what was this song called? Lost and Turned Out. You feel me? You
Yeah,
had
yeah,
a
yeah.
balance. And that's what I'm glad and very fortunate to be able to express that in my music. So I really started my career in 1984. You know what I mean? There was a minute and I took it serious. I did a lot of talent shows, tons of talent shows, and won most of them. But it caught the eye of my Uncle Willie Hutch in 1986. And people, actually don't know. They think my first record was 1991 on Ruthless Records. No, I did a record in 1986 with my Uncle Willie Hutch in Canoga Park when he had their studio, Canoga Park, California. Rest in peace, Uncle Willie Hutch. And he wanted me to be on, that side of brothers gonna work it out and different other things like that. He didn't like some of the street things that I was incorporating in there, old school.
Yeah.
But it was a new thing, man. This rap was hard edge, just from the streets. It was our story. And it really didn't work out. I know my cousin, Colt 187 from the group Above the Law, tried the same thing with Uncle Willie Hutch. It didn't work out. So moving a couple of years later, I did a talent show. It was in Montclair called Rock Around the Clock. And I performed in front of, his name is on the tip of my tongue. DJ Bobcat.
Oh, wow.
And DJ Bobcat was like doing a lot of stuff with LL at that time.
Right.
And he, after the performance, he was like, "Man, I want to sign you." Back then, my name wasn't called Kokane; it was called Jay Golden.
Okay.
And, MC Jay Golden. And we were going to link up, and he was actually the first one that actually was going to sign me to a record label was DJ Bobcat. A lot of people don't know that.
Wow.
So this was like in '88, and then it didn't work out because, I respect that brother to a T, man. He's one of the pillars. He had to go on the road with LL, and he couldn't wait, and I couldn't wait. So a year passed, and in 1989, I was over my auntie's house in Pomona, California, 1289 Ross Street in Pomona.
Yeah.
And I was looking for Hutch, but I didn't know Hutch, which his next stage name is called Colt 187 from the group Above the Law. I didn't know they had turned into Above the Law then, because they had lost contact about a year and a half, with my cousin Hutch. So I look at the videotape, Murder Rap, and in Ruthless Records, and I seen Hutch, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's cool, man." They with the dude that I heard 2 years before was Boys in the Hood, Eazy-E, and I was liking that type of style. And some of that type of style I would incorporate it on my music with the positive balance. So I was already digging Ruthless Records. But ironically, Hutch, Colt 187, Laylaw, the great Laylaw, KMG, rest in peace, Laylaw too, and KMG, Gomac, and Total Chaos. They came to the spot in Pomona. And Hutch took me in a room and said, "Okay, I'm going to make good on my promise now," which he did. Which he promised in 1985. He said, "Once I get on, cuz I'm going to put you on." So this was 89, the beginning. And he said, "Man, we're going to have to change the name around a little bit." And I said, "What you mean?" My grandmother named me that because I live with my grandparents. Because of my funny color eyes, she called me Jay Golden. That was my grandmother now.
Right.
So he said, "Man, we need to call yourself Cocaine." because his original name was going to be called Kokane before Code 187, which meant lyrical murderer. You know what I mean? I sat back for like less than a minute. I said, man, run that shit. That shit is dope. That's the most controversial name. It fit perfect with Ruthless Records. They're about controversy. And I said, let's run it. I'm gonna work the shit out that name, Kokane. So that's when Kokane was birthed in 1989. And that was my humble beginnings to actually signing a full-on record deal. My first signing a production deal through Larry Goodman, which his name was Laylaw, called Law House Production. Rest in peace, Laylaw. And then I did a 3-song demo with my cousin Code 187 at Hot Track Studio in Pomona, California, Jimmy Hot Track Studio. And then we took it to Easy, and Easy was just so impressed. You know, I got word that he was like, damn, Kokane sound like George Clinton. You sound like Rick James. You sound like, and he be busting. He's like, Kokane, we gonna run it. So I signed on the dotted line, man, like 89 to 1990. And that started my career, you know, with Ruthless Records.
Easy, you know, a lot of people didn't pay attention and they don't talk about it in history, but Easy put a lot of people on. And Easy was, you know, about giving folks an opportunity. It's about making money too, you know what I mean? But at the same time, a lot of people, when, you know, the other labels, the major labels weren't trying to touch the streets, you know, they were afraid of the streets. He's like, come on home. Ruthless was home for a lot of, you know, gorillas, so lions, you know, and really great music. And you know, I mean, shit, what the Booyah Tribe was there too, weren't they?
Yeah, Booyah Tribe been around. Compton's Most Wanted, DJ, you know, King T, Mixmaster Spade, Toddy T, Ice T. But the biggest labels in the late 80s and the 90s was Rhyme Syndicate. And it was Ruthless Records at that time, between that I would say 87 to that 1990 period. They were the biggest labels moving. And what Eric did, he was able to, you know, loving or hating, he was able to hook up with Jerry Heller, which was that Jewish line, to really, you know, get some high profile publicists and different other things to connect it out there. So Jerry Heller was instrumental in using his Jewish line to be able to catapult the project. But it all started with Eric. It all started with Eric deciding to put up his hustle money. Now imagine if Eric, Easy-E that is, didn't put up his hustle money. None of this we couldn't even discuss. You couldn't even discuss 50 Cent. You couldn't discuss Eminem. You couldn't discuss, really, Easy-E blew up K-Day, you know, at that time. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't discuss
Greg Mack,
opportunity. No Above the Law, no DLC, no Bone Thugs, no Cocaine, and the list, many, 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 many other artists can go on. So that's why he was, you know, he showed people that, hey, I could take a chance before your J Princes, before your Murder Incs., before your Death Rows, before your Aftermaths, and et cetera, et cetera. Eric was the one that showed people, hey, take a chance on the culture.
Right.
You put up your hustle money.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
invest in yourself and buy back the block started with E.
Yeah.
Bottom
and
line.
He took it on a level to where, you know, of course, you got to give credit to Uncle St. Charles, who did a lot for the Yay area. You know what I'm saying? Did a lot for the Yay area, even outside when you talk about your Master P's. But what Eric did, he took it on steroids. He showed people how to get to the bag. You feel me? And at the same time, being able to not compromise your artistry and your gifts and things that you wanted to street report on and have street knowledge on, because we didn't even call it gangster rap. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was, you know, it's always media that try to coin something just like they coined the word NIGGA.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But we took it and ran with it, and we had a good run, man. And I'm happy to say that out of everybody that he affected, and had hands, in putting up his hustle money for everybody else's futures to do it, and careers to do what they do. I'm glad me and Above the Law stayed with Eric to the end.
Loyalty is key, recognizing that somebody has really put out for you, you know what I mean? And they trusted you, like you said, with their hustle money. This is money they could have left stashed in the wall, you know what I mean? If they wanted to. And like, no, you got something. So, shout out to Easy. And man, what a difference he made for the whole culture of hip hop. Because, you got to remember the West Coast sound swept the nation and lit off Southern rap. Houston lit off behind that. New Yorkers tried to sound, besides the politics, you know what I mean, the music, and the opportunities that he gave for the voices from the West changed the game.
So you can look at the world, look at the impact on the culture.
Right.
There's, it's just like, look at Tupac and look at Biggie and the unfortunate passing of them.
Right.
See how much they had impact. But then when you look at Nipsey, because this is so much of an information age, they were marching down the street. It was crowds like Martin Luther King, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had the impact, because everything is a buildup to whatever impact. That's why I tell some of these youngsters, I said, stay humble on the rumble, but you know where you got it from. Mm-hmm. Because you please believe, man, Martin Luther King was waking up thinking Medgar Evers every single day. You see what I'm saying? So it's something for us to reflect back on. And I'm just so glad at this pivotal point that the youngsters, from the dancing to the graffiti to the arts to the rapping, they're really starting to revert back to the eras of substance.
Yes. Which
were the 80s and the 90s. You feel me?
I've noticed the change. It started a couple years ago when I really picked up on it. Mm-hmm. Was, the return back to lyricism. They were younger. And I'm going, that don't sound like nothing these cats done put out here in this day and age. That sounds like a salute to their section, you know what I mean, from whatever city they was in. But it sounded like, okay, they saluting their section, whether it's old school hip hop lyricism from like the Big L type from the East Coast, you know what I mean, to the funk, to hear a youngster try to do cocaine. And I'm like, why that brother sound like Coca? Mm-hmm. That ain't Coca. Mm-hmm. But salute, for recognizing greatness and the impact. Because, brother, you have the range, like you said, for me, and I don't make music. We both know I shouldn't sing Mary Had a Little Lamb, right? And you have the soul. You've got the funk. And that's what I enjoy the most. Now, I don't mind going down the street listening to the soul, the low riding style music, but that funk that you bring and give the nigga chills. Excuse my language, y'all, but and I'm not gonna bleep it out, but you go like that voice, that iconic signature voice, especially when you hit that high range and drag it out, like on some real P-funk, it'd be like, listen to that. That's my dude right there, And so how does it feel? And it's so incredible because I actually interviewed George Clinton and a few times, and he mentioned your name. Right. Like, that boy from the West Coast, that cocaine, that little youngster, that little nephew right there, I'm like, he's got the funk. He really is doing it. He saluted you. Now, this is the triple OG of the funk from my era. I'm 61. I don't know how old you are. Me, you look younger than me. But they say it don't crack, and I believe that. And if I was back on the West Coast, I'd probably still look a lot younger. But I'm out here in the Midwest with snow and that cold, Jack, and it's affected situations. How does it feel though to have the respect of the OGs and the youngsters that you're putting on now? They're like, I want to do it like you do it.
Right.
Because of the respect level that you have across the board in the industry.
Well, that's a dream come true, man. It's surreal sometimes. It's just like Michael Jackson studied James Brown, and he became Michael Jackson. So I've been listening to Parliament and Funkadelic since the 70s,
right?
Mid 70s, and Bootsy and James Brown and all those, incredible artists from Bernie Worrell to the Horny Horns. I was just a people baby. I even got the original posters. It's just storage right now. I'm gonna get it out of my new house. But they just had an impact, man. Like, because I was always like an alien baby, looking at the running board at a shorty, like, wow, this is where I want to be. And I identify with George Clinton. Shout out to George Clinton. That's my funk father. It was just incredible, man. So I used to practice George Clinton in 1981, man. 1980. I used to practice him and Stone City Band.
Okay.
Rick James, which ironically he was supposed to be in Parliament, but created his own thing. And it's just the intellect, what they were talking about as far as Parliament, Chocolate City. It had that real blackness rooted in the struggle, because, funk was once upon a time taken as a word, as a bad word. And they turned it around like the 1989 Detroit Pistons and used it to their advantage. And that's what I identified, the substance. They had substance in their music. They had music theory. They had tones that, my dad used to try to tell me about, when I really didn't understand. My dad used to sit me down and try to talk about arrangements and notes and mathematics and different other things. That was Parliament. That was George Clinton. And then, later through the years, to be able to, meet him in the early, I would say the mid 80s, and then to see him work on the Paint the White House Black, I was like, this is where I want to be. And then years later, after doing so many hooks and features and really busting my buns in this game, bro, I had a chance to meet him through, reconnect with him again when Snoop Dogg had his doghouse. He had the East Siders, had me over there, and it was incredible. We just hit it off. And going years later, we recorded some stuff together, and I'm sitting in the room like, damn, that's George Clinton. That's an alien. That's the Anunnaki right there. That's the one. And then him coming into a session and him being like bewildered, like, when did I do them vocals? I was like, that's me. He was looking at me like, huh?
Yeah.
Huh? Because he always sat me down and said, there's a lot of people that I influenced, and I'm happy to influence, but I've never came across one individual that sounds so much similar like a young George Clinton. It's Kokane. And it was just making songs from here on out, exchanging information from my pop side, because they was all in Detroit with each other, and him knowing my pops, him knowing Uncle Willie, and it just was like it was a long lost relative that through my destiny, the universe would have us connect like this. So for him to say, man, that cocaine is bad, all I could do is just shut the fuck up and put a smile on my face on me. Because that, excuse my language.
No, you good.
That right there, that's the pinnacle. I don't care. I done songs with everybody, bro. Everybody done songs with who? You know, not everybody, but some pretty big wigs in the game, right? From your
Major.
Dre's to your Snoops to your P. Diddy's to your, 50 Cents, Tony Yayo, E40, Too Short, Cameo. It's a lot of Easy E, Above Law, Cypress Hill, over 4,000 something features, bro.
Woo.
But the one in particular, man, that had the most impact on me and being in the studio is being around George Clinton and him telling you you have arrived, like the movie Kung Fu, snatched the pebble out of my hand. Like you snatched it out of my hand, nephew, and I love you for that. And also, being in the studio and seeing my daughter, evolve to where she at right now. Those two people, just incredible.
There's nothing like being, as you call George Clinton, the musical father, but there's nothing like getting the respect and the salute from the father figure.
Yeah.
And then the satisfaction of watching your progeny follow in the footsteps because they admire the work that you have done and the person that you have been, throughout their life. They've seen something that's steady, someone with intestinal fortitude, leadership, the ability to cross generational and geographical lines. You know what I mean? Everybody know the West Coast got section politics, but Kokane has been from the Bay to the beach on the West Coast, covering everything. Didn't you do something with Spice One?
I did a bunch of stuff with Spice One.
With Spice out of Oakland, yeah. Like I was like,
E40, Spice One, Too Short, Mac Dre,
the
Brother Lynch, tons and artists, Richie Rich,
That's
what the funk do. That's what the funk do, man.
That's what the funk do. And your voice is just like, we just need all the Kokane albums in my crates back here. I don't have them, but I found a record store. That out here. I'm in the Kansas City area now, right? And there's one in vinyl store, and they really proud of their vinyl too. I got to tell you, but you could dip in there. I could spend hours in this place, man. And they're heavy on the rock, but it's a crate digger's dream. You know what I mean? And I got boxes and crates. I ain't no DJ, but I still got record players, you know what I mean, and turntables and the huge speakers. If I turn this backdrop off, you'll see them OG pioneers that could be in the concert hall. All I'm missing is the tweeter stack. You feel me?
Right.
That mid-range and that tweeter. That's all I need to finish out the stack. But I've loved your music. Before I knew who you were, I'm like, who is this? For me, you made West Coast music worth listening to for the musicality. Now, in my section, it's a little grimy. And so I like the grimy part too, talking that talk. But if I was grooving down the street and I wanted to put something on blast that would give me a pass from section to section, if Kokane's voice is blasting on that stereo, they're gonna be like, all right, they all right. Whoever's in that row, then that car is all right, and is no issue. So I loved it for what you ended up representing, as a cog in a wheel that can bring sections together musically.
Right.
You recorded with everybody from every side, every team. You know what I mean? And the West Coast has made amazing music. The East Coast has made amazing music, touched by Kokane. To me, you're a legend, living legend. I'm happy that I can give you your flowers right here, right now. You know what I mean? As a supporter, a fan, and family. You feel me? So, and I know I'm not gonna do no narcissistic stuff like, you know, the big bro and all that. I'm not gonna do all that because I think I'm older than you. Am I older than you? I'm 61. You're in the 50s, right?
Yeah, you got me about 6 years.
I got it by a little bit. I got a little bit. But I just want people to know that, you know, as a music journalist and as a music lover, a brother who was raised in the concert halls by a mother who played piano and tried to force me to play clarinet in elementary school, embarrassed me. That was not cool, you know. Back then, you know what I mean? It was not cool at all. Woodwinds was not cool. And I just appreciate your musicality and what you've contributed overall to the fabric of music, not just hip hop, you know. So I appreciate you. Now, let's talk about your leadership. We already touched on it a little bit, and our time is short. And we have to come back and do this again, brother. When we've got like several hours because we got to get all the juice out this steak. Yo, this filet mignon that we talking about right here, when you're talking to Kokane and you're talking about Kokane, this is the filet mignon. This is that Brazilian restaurant where they carry all the meat around and you just eat till you have to turn your little thing over and say, "Don't bring me no more." You know what I mean? This is Kokane. You know what I mean? And we got to talk about the leadership because you got, you know, the Budēboy label. You're bringing up some young lions. Baby girl is doing her thing as well. Now you just popped out. If y'all pay attention to his Instagram, he just popped out this real soulful young crew. Shocked the living daylights out of me. When that boy opened his mouth, I said, no. That's training. That's soul. That's heartfelt. Talk to me about how you're developing new artists and bringing them along under your imprint.
Well, you know, we started my label 17 years ago. And you know, I know the ins and outs of the music industry and certain experiences, you know, by getting, you know, messed up in certain deals. And I wanted to provide a safe haven, mostly a family structure, so artists can go out there and actually reap the benefits and, you know, to be able to be heard properly. You know, a lot of artists are the good artists out there are being muttered down by gossip orientated music, mostly negativity. And it's kind of hard to hear the upcoming new artists versus what is the music industry popular today, which is a lot of gossip. But now it's starting to revert back. But, you know, I started my label and, you know, I put a lot of artists on. There's artists that I put on that are not with the label no more, but they went on to do bigger and better things. And I was happy a part of that. But this group section, from my daughter, Anissa C. Long, you spell her name ANISAHLONG. She finally has a project coming out. This will be her first project coming out. And I've been seasoning her ever since she was 12, but I understood that you have to build up artists instead of just throwing them out there. You know what I mean?
Development.
And I would place her strategically on projects just to broaden her name out. And she understood years later, you know, she comes to me and be like, "Pops, I really appreciate you because I understand. You wanted me to understand the business end and the brutal side of this business." I said, "Yes." And plus, there's always room for improvement every day, you know, just like I practice doing George Clinton and all these other soulful cats from Curtis Mayfield. I had to practice. And she got to the point to where she's there. So she's, boom, gonna come out with a project her first project. Her next single was called Sweets, produced by this cat named Rob T. And she's ready. She's remarkable. She's beautiful, intelligent. She's young, female, and that's what I love is that it was able to empower her, especially being a young Black female, because Black females get a lot of flack, a lot of bullshit thrown, and I wanted to make sure she go in the right direction. So as parents, as a family, as a coach, oh, she ready to take on the world and get them Riri numbers. Now, yeah, so that's a beautiful thing when you see your family do what they need to do. And also we have a cat named D3 from Long Beach. And shout out to D3. We did an EP and we was working on it for like 4 years, but then the COVID and all this stuff started coming in, so we had to push it back. But he been waiting to get on a label for like 10 years, man.
Wow.
And it was time. So he's coming out with a project. Our EP is called The First Meal. It's kind of like taking a spinoff of Snoop, The Last Meal, but we call it The First Meal.
Right.
And that's coming out September 13th. It might come out after this interview, but September 13th is out. That's an incredible project. Also, we got this kid from Orange County, cold-ass essay, man. His name is Hector. And I call him the Chicano Kokane because he sings. Mm-hmm. And going back to I trip because people are now like, oh, doing their thing. And I'm like, wow, man, this has an impact. So he's coming out with a project. And this stuff is a cross between boom bap, hip hop, and that West Coast feel. And I'm telling you, he's gonna be getting them Cypress Hill numbers when it comes out. His project is called Lyrical Drive-By.
Ooh.
And last but not least, of course, we have this R&B cat. I mean, when I say he's cold, he colder than Penguin Nookie. You know what I mean? His name is Cuddy Dre, and he did some work on the Sugarcane album with me and Sugar Free. He also produced on my new album, The Funkin Adventures of Dr. Kokane Stein. The dude is so incredible, man. Wait till you hear his project. He got a new project, an EP coming out called Electric Love. He's like a modern day Roger Troutman. Ooh. And the boy's incredible. And we also, let me not forget, we also got some development artists that are, that I'm developing right now from a cat named Moneybag from LA. And
heard that clip.
Yeah. So, and we got a couple more artists we're developing, you know what I mean? And but the ones that are ready to go, they're already out the development box and on the Budēboy schedule and ready to rock and roll. And that's what we stand for as Budēboy. We're a family-oriented label. We don't get into the gossip. We don't get into nothing else but positivity, good music, and good conversations, period.
I love it. And, the little ones got Uncle Jerry over here. We're going to rock with you. It's been a minute. Life did what it did. And we went through what we went through, but now I'm retired from that regimented life and actually getting to do what I want to do and having the opportunity to represent home, and reconnect with my folks from home and tell those stories. Because we didn't even get into you. Like, we need like a 6-hour session, like 2 or 3 2-hour sessions to break it down, to really go through the history of cocaine and what cocaine has meant to the fabric of music and really dig in. Because, aside from the war stories, of an artist, of a producer, of a creative, just trying to make it, and then doing it from the West Coast. And, man, Uncle George talks about his Project 13, his Flashlight 13 project, about just trying to get his masters and all that stuff back. The way that you are taking these youngsters through the business rituals and educating them, you know what I mean? We have to lay in more to that. So
absolutely.
I want to thank you for the brief time that I was able to get with you tonight. I know you're a very busy cat. And
let me mention this too. Let me not forget about myself.
Yeah, we got to talk about you.
I got this new project out. It's called the Funkin Adventures of Dr. Kokane Stein. It's in the collector's box, and this one comes in the collector's box because I put out 37. I wanted to do something special for the fans worldwide. So we put out the CD. It has 37 songs, almost 4 albums, full of funk. It got features on there. I got your features on there from my daughter to Ice Cube to Kurupt to, just tap in and be surprised. This is a live band album. You see how thick it is. And the kick is about this thing. You cannot get this rare album on Spotify, on Apple, on none of that. You got to go specifically to my page at www.budeboymusic.com. If you could be so kindly to share it in the thing link for me, Jared, that'd be cool. But also we have, this comes in the box. Yes, cassette tape.
Cassette tape, what?
Cassette tapes, but we made it for the people for USBs.
Feeling
so that. Everything we've been doing has been working, thank God. I'll just share this with y'all. When I started my company, we created our .com site years ago when people were laughing at us doing the Mr. Bojangles with their Spotify plaques. And ain't nothing wrong with that. But until they start realizing that 0.00 effery wasn't going to work on the streaming. Mm-hmm. So what we did as a family and as my business partners, we took a backseat approach. We built up a metadata base of a substantial amount of people. So that way, if I put out a record and I'm direct marketing, you cut out the middleman. But we've been doing this for 17 years. And this record right here, it's a beautiful situation because of, direct marketing with the people. And this specific record CD already scanned over 7,500 units at $100 a pop. So a lot of people's approach to being in the music industry, do you want to take the fame and the popular role sometimes, or do you want to take a backseat and learn the business? Well, we wanted to learn the business aspect of it because so many artists have put out so much good music, paid a lot of money for their stuff, and then just to be, be the sacrificial lamb from some streaming companies who's just raping the artist more than any artist got raped in the system music industry. No, this time, when all the artists that we have on the label, we just don't teach them to be artists. We look at them as business entrepreneurs, CEOs, opening up subsidiaries for Budēboy. So that way, we not only control the culture, but we rotate these dollars like any other race do. You got to realize when it comes to black and brown, especially black, our monies is only rotated around one time. But you look at other cats like the Jewish people and different white, it's from 20 to 30 something times their money rotate around. So we want to have that Marcus Garvey theory to where we want to empower our people to not only be artists, but to actually reap the benefits, financially from putting your hard work in. So that's what I think makes Budēboy a staple, a pillar, an inspiration for elevation, to be able to do the same thing. Not everybody's going to listen, but not all sperm cells get to the egg. So we talking to the people that really want to make a business, because if you make good business out of this and you're making good money, the popularity is going to follow you. It's going to chase you. So I tell everybody, pursue it, but don't chase it. Pursue it, but don't chase it. When you pursue it, it chases you. And if you do the right things to empower yourself, and that way you can make economics reciprocate properly for the monies you spend, well, then you far more in advantage to these people that sign their life away and just become a tax write-off. Nah, over here, Budēboy and all the artists, we're not just dealing with artists, we're dealing with young bosses.
The leadership, the impact, it's I can't say it no better. You know what I mean? You got to put work clothes on your dreams, but that means there's work involved. He's teaching how to get first count on your money. Sugar Free would be proud of me for saying it like that too, with that pimping. I'm gonna get first count on my money. You know what I mean? The business, you don't have to give it away. You don't have to volunteer to have your craft adulterated or raped in the more common sense of the word. You know what I mean? Go ahead. You go ahead and finish. I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, but it's, taking off what you were saying, it's timing. There's a new enlightenment going on with people. You know what I mean? Especially the copper people or Black people. We rising up to rise up right now. And this is very important. All they want to show us on the news is getting handcuffed. And sadly so, are people getting murked at all-time high? Maybe it's from police violence, or maybe it's from genocide, whatever. But we need to also show a balance and show our people that, hey, you can come from a suppressed environment and you can utilize everything that you ever went through to really inspire the next generation to go ahead and raise themselves up as well, intellectually, mentally, and spiritually, and financially. See, everybody was talking about a sense of reparation. Nobody's going to give us reparation. You have to take it. You have to create some things that's going to be able to connect and fellowship with the next person that identify with the struggle, but also identify with the victories and perseverance. You have to have optimism, man. And so I'm very optimistic about, this generation, our generation connecting, so we can get back not only our culture, but we can establish our own personal reparations economically and stop being so dependent on a system that was set us up to just, eat scraps.
Yeah.
No, you have to break the system, and it may take longer, but the longer road is always better than the shorter road, because it's a marathon, not a relay race.
Rest in peace, Nipsey. Yeah, it's definitely a marathon. I am a testament to that fact. I mean, I put my work in, you know what I mean? Retired from the military and got now having opportunity for the past, 14 years, from Yahoo to now the editor-in-chief of the Hype magazine for the last 12, to make a difference and teach other journalists, young journalists, how to do it properly and how to have longevity. And those are the skill sets, that our elders passed down to us, the survival skills. You might not have wanted to be out in the garden. I hated being out in the garden with my grandfather, but I know how to grow them collards. I know how to grow them beans and peppers. I know how to till that soil and keep that topsoil rich,
Yeah, sure.
so that the crops can keep coming. Pharrell in the interview, was talking about how just basically what you said, we have to be prepared because, educate yourself, young people and old people as well. Right now you're looking at the political cycle where we're probably going to get a win. And that win might last for 8 years. But that Project 2025 they took a long time to put that joint together. as a collective.
Yeah.
And all they're going to do is sit back and wait for another opportunity to shoot it at us. You feel me? Right. So, educate yourself, be prepared, learn how to make your own money. If you're in the desert, you got to learn how to make your own water.
Yeah.
From the condensation that comes at the nighttime. You know what I mean? You have to learn how to collect the dew, the morning dew.
Yeah.
And
you even got to learn how to make your own restroom.
Their own restroom. You feel me? So they're doing it. And if we don't have the power, the understanding, and the knowledge to execute, and you may not be the person in front of the microphone, you might be the person behind the microphone. You might be the person who better understands crypto and decentralized commerce. You might be the person who understands market trends for the, NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange. You might be the person in Texas who, and I just found this out yesterday, Texas has their own stock exchange. Separate from the New York Stock Exchange, separate from the NASDAQ. As a state, they started their own stock exchange.
Wow.
As if they're their own country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the powers that be are not playing, and they're afraid because we're overwhelming them numerically.
Yeah.
And they're trying to
the gig's up. They can't stop it.
They can't stop it. The movement, this is a boulder rolling downhill, gaining steam, speed, and strength.
Yes, sir.
And gathering up smaller boulders that are popping up in the air, creating havoc and creating a shield. And we as a unit can make a difference. And we can secure our own future and our independence by, as Kokane, the leader, the innovator, the educator, the parent, a global parent, because he's teaching not just his kids, but other kids how to feed not only themselves, but help them feed other people's families by passing along skill sets. And I ain't talking about soft skills about, yes, ma'am, thank you, and all that. I'm talking about that real money making, that mailbox money, that direct deposit money, that longevity money. 3 generations we have to prepare for down the line. That's our responsibility as elders, to make way for 3 generations beyond us. He just explained how he's doing it.
Sure, you're right.
I love you for that.
Love you too, brother. Yes, sir.
We're gonna get off the line. Should I hit Alicia and figure out where you got the next free period? Because I'm gonna blank out a whole day.
Okay. Yeah, no, you can hit me personally, Jerry.
Okay, I got you. All right.
A lot of people don't know, if you don't know, it's the 2 Jerrys. I'm Jerry, he's Jerry. That's Big Jerry, I'm Little Jerry. Yes, sir.
We just Jerry on an equal scale. We just do things differently, life's experiences, but the mantle that you've taken on makes you a giant in my eyes.
All glory to the Most High.
Whoever you got to give to, I'm just watching the manifestation here on earth of someone going about God's business.
Righteous. That's all you do at the end of the day. All you want to do,
Yeah, he don't need no mega church. He don't need no planes. He don't need no Steve Harvey suits. It's real. I'm sorry. I ain't even gonna start. You know. This is the church of reality,
right?
Survival skills.
Right.
The elders taking responsibility as they should. I'm just saying, the thinking man knows, and at some point we need every blind man to say, "Oh, I see."
Right. Right.
Until next time, the Hype Magazine live sessions. Kokane. Give them the where to go get it. So one more again.
You can go get this exclusively on my site at www.budboy, www.budemusic.com. So it's pronounced www.budemusic.com. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We always keep you current up on the news feed. But this is 37 songs, almost post slappers. Man, they got some interesting things on there. We also got my boy Kurupt on here. We got Big Boy, Trey D, all them talking on there. It's just one of these albums that you want for your music arsenal collection. You can get it and also get the other artists that are on there. Also, we have the Kokane collection and get you some fresh cocaine gear. You know what I mean? And rock it, man. Make you feel like a legend. Much love to all the people out there, man. I love y'all.
Show them that box set again, baby.
Oh, man. This is the doozy right here. This has first, it says Dr. Kokane Stein. This is the collector's box. We have these. Y'all can hear something inside of it. But if you go right here, it's G1. It's I think that's G2. But it's 3 CDs and 1 adventure, y'all. And we have this for your audience. You got the QR code at the bottom.
All right. We want to make sure to get that.
So they've been selling like hotcakes. You know what I mean? You know, they're projected to do at least 30 or 40. We have at least 7 to 8 singles off there. We're doing another single called Fuck What You're Going Through, featuring my daughter, Anisha C. Long. And we happy putting out the music. We happy for the response. The people feel good. It's an exchange. You know, the people who are out there getting it, like, hey, you guys put a lot into it, and the music is the soundtrack to people's life. So get this collector's item. You can only get it at my site at Budēboy, but make sure you subscribe. I need all subscriptions.
Let's support this giant in the industry. You know, like I said, he's from the West Coast. We got to claim him. We got first dibs on him, but he's spread the love across the globe. Japan, Amsterdam, you know what I mean, the UK, East Coast, y'all count too, but he belonged to us, and that's what it is. Another leader. You know, when leaders come out of the West Coast, something real serious happens.
Amen.
Till next time, the Hype Magazine live sessions. We out.
Well,
Hey, yo, what's up? This is Ice-T representing for Hype Magazine. Stop playing.
As an artist, we should reflect the time.
Why you so talented?
Because I'm black.
Why you so amazing?
Because I'm black.
Really important that we build characters so that people understand their story matters.
2 Chainz and I both are just really into good food.
And when you know you are royalty, you will only aim in life to be royalty.
We're doing it right now. I don't give a damn what they say about me. Yes, I called your ass out. I know I shouldn't be saying this kind of.
Shout out the Hype Magazine Network.
Shout out to the Hype Magazine Network.